All right, Edison players, I firstly would like to apologize for the poor audio quality in the last video. I was using my built-in microphone, and I guess it automatically mutes itself whenever Dueling Book makes a sound. So that was probably annoying. I apologize. It won't happen again. We have just hit rank 1 with Quickdraw. Now, the season is far from over, and this could change. This is actually not the first time this season we've hit the rank 1, but it's an ongoing battle, and I thought I'd make a little video. My last 3 opponents were Gladiator Beast, and then Blackwing, a very high-rated Blackwing. Which, if you know Quickdraw, you know those are the 2 worst matchups for Quickdraw, especially this version of the build. Well, sorry, Blackwings is especially bad for this version of the build because we don't have Raikou or Hamsters, which are usually good versus Blackwings. Gladiator Beast, I actually think this version is better against. But without further ado, I will jump into, well, actually, there's a little more further ado. Let's look at the deck list one more time. For anyone that isn't familiar, this is the same deck list that we've been running for a little while now. I already talked about this deck list in a past video, but if you didn't see it or if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments and I will respond. But this is the deck list. Pretty happy with it. Yeah, let's jump into the games. So, first, we have Gladiator Beast, I believe. Or is this guy the Gladiator Beast, or is this guy on the 6 Samurai? Oh, hey, I might have been lying. This guy might have been the Samurai player. Well, let's look at it anyway, even though it's like, I know Samurai is not a big part of the meta. And then we'll move on to the Gladiator Beast and the Blackwing. So we do go first. We open Quickdraw and Level Eater, but without another way to do it. So we could go into a Drill Warrior here if we wanted to by pitching the Level Eater and then Foolishing a Dandy. The reason, let me mute the sound. The reason I don't do that here is because if I made Drill Warrior, I would also have to ditch one of the cards in my hand. And I thought that, you know what, I can Scapegoat, I can ditch Level Eater for Quickdraw and go into Road Warrior that way and maybe just play it safe. Sometimes going all in on Drill turn 1 is a huge mistake if you don't know what the deck your opponent's on. But when he set 5 after MSTing, I was like, is this guy on like Chain Burn or something? Who the fuck sets 5? But I guess with his hand, that's what he thought he should do. We realized we don't really have the opportunity to play it slow with our hand. So we try to go for Quickdraw. He lets that go through. We decided to go Road Warrior because we figured that if he has Bottomless, Drill Warrior obviously wouldn't work, but Road Warrior can get priority to get Cyber Valley and draw 2 cards, so it's the best play against Bottomless. We'll fast forward this. He does Solemn It, which sucks especially bad because obviously I don't get the priority, but I also can't Call of the Haunted it back because a Solemn Summon is not considered a successful Synchro, so that kind of sucks. We set our 2 back row and pass. We didn't know what deck he was on until this turn, because then he plays Come On, and we Mirror Force it. We decide to go Foolish Burial on Dandy. We figured he definitely didn't have Torrential, because he would have just Torrentialed either when we summoned Quickdraw or when we specialed Cyber Valley instead of Solemning it. So we go Foolish to get tokens, to then go into a Lone Fire play. We do think he might still have Mirror Force, so instead of going Lone Fire, Titanial, we just went 1 Lone Fire, Titanial. We also thought he doesn't have any monsters, so he would need to draw a monster to even potentially kill Lone Fire. And we wanted to play a little bit better around Mirror Force. Fortunately, he does have Bottomless, which sucks because we can't Call of the Haunted our Titanial. We do decide to chain Call of the Haunted to Bottomless to make sure that, it can't miss timing on anything. Or sorry, that, yeah. Then we decide to go into Drill Warrior, but we don't have a card to ditch, and he still has 3 back row. And luckily, we played around that correctly. So we decided to Level Eat our Drill Warrior and pass the turn. We figured with no monsters on a Samurai deck, there's no way he's killing this Drill Warrior, so I can wait until next turn to ditch a card. He does call his Come On and kills our Lone Fire. He's got Mirror and Prison set. We decide here that we actually don't want to ditch Drill. This could have been a blowout if he drew Torrential for turn, but we took the risk that wasn't Torrential, and instead decide to go into a Stardust here with 2 tokens. We decide to attack with our Drill Warrior. He lets that go through. And then we decide to attack with Stardust. He deprisons. And we figured if he did have deprison, the Stardust was actually a higher value here than the Drill Warrior. So we figured it's safe to attack with Drill first. If he had mirrored, for example, then obviously we wouldn't continue attacking. All right, he keeps drawing more back row. We draw Solemn, so we still don't want to send our Drill off, right? We're waiting for a card that isn't as good as the cards we've been drawing. But we're not going to attack. Play it slow. Again, a Samurai deck without monsters is not very good. He's drawing more back row. We get Future Fusion. We don't really need to use it here. We decide to ditch it for Drill. Get back our Quickdraw. We have Solemn set, so we figure even if he did draw Torrential in the next couple back rows, we'll be okay. We don't have room for a Debris play, so we go Quickdraw. And we decide to go into a Turbo Warrior. He says that's okay. We decide to play around Mirror Force. So we ditch off our Drill and swing in with Turbo. And there is the Mirror Force. So we played that correctly. He's running Krebins, which is interesting. You don't usually see that in a Samurai deck, but we're okay with it. We draw Caius for turn, which is great. We decide to grab back Debris just in case we need it later. But we're going to level Eater Drill Warrior, and we're going to go into a Caius. We have Solemn set, so we figure, you know what? Let's just go for game. He already used Mirror. We have 2 ways to kill him here. So if he has like a deprison, we can let one go through and then swing with the other. Scrap, that's fine. We swing in for Drill, and that's game. But even if he had another back row, we would just, Solemn it. Okay, game 2. He's going first. He's got a lot of good stuff. I think he made a mistake here. I think the play is to Solemn the Future Fusion. But that's okay. And again, he makes another mistake here. We decide to go into Black Rose. Maybe he thought we wouldn't Black Rose, so he let the Debris go through and then Solemns it. I think if you're going to Solemn the Debris play, you just Solemn the Debris, because that way I don't get 2 tokens from the Dandelion. So it's possible he's just a newer player or not as experienced in the matchup or whatever. We decide to go into Road Warrior here. Again, we figured if he had, Torrential or something, probably would have used it earlier. I don't know. We have My Body as a shield. So we get 2 draws. We're hoping this is not a deprison, because obviously My Body works against Mirror Force, but not deprison. But we figured, you know what, let's just swing. If it is deprison, we can always smashing or decide if we even want to. We set My Body. I don't love setting My Body there. I wasn't sure if that was correct, but he does not draw into Grandmaster. He does go for a Catastor. Unfortunately, you cannot use My Body against Catastor because it doesn't work in the damage step. Unfortunately, that's one of the weaknesses of the card, although I still think it's quite good. We decide to go into an Ancient Fairy Dragon here since Black Rose is already used in attack position, and then smash and ground the Catastor. He does not, and this actually worked in our favor, he does not bottomless the Ancient Fairy Dragon, even though he had My Body, because he figures what good is an Ancient Fairy Dragon against a Catastor. A lot of people don't really play around smash and ground. Maybe they do in like a gadget deck where they see it or they're used to it, but a lot of people aren't playing around smash and ground here. So he probably still should have bottomless in case I had Brain Control or something, but it would have lost to My Body anyway. He still has no Grandmaster. He's got kind of nothing. He tries to pump a Iroh over Ancient Fairy. We Mirror Force it, and that's game. Okay, now let's move on to Gladiator Beasts, and I always feel good about beating Gladiator Beasts. We do not win the die roll, or the rock, paper, scissors, rather, which is unfortunate because our hand was great going first. He went Stratos and searched Prisma. So we did think this was probably Gladiator Beasts because Prisma is, usually only used in Gladiator Beast, but Prisma is also sometimes used in Hero Beat. And, emergency call into Stratos into Prisma means this very well could have been Hero Beat. So I think I was actually leaning towards Hero Beat with the possibility of Gladiator Beast. And I didn't want a Future Fusion here because this Future Fusion is really, really, really important. Even more important than Trap Dust Shoot. Because I have Caius, Debris, and Quickdraw, which all want Dandy, right? Debris wants Dandy, Quickdraw wants Dandy, Caius wants Dandy. All these cards work so well if I can get a Dandy in the graveyard. So this is like the most important card in my hand. So I decided to go for Stratos first. And then my plan was to set Trap Dust Shoot. And then if he MSTs it, then okay, fine. Now I can try to Future Fusion. If he doesn't, then okay, now I can Future Fusion next turn. And I was just going to crash the Stratos or something like that, you know. But because he bottomless our Stratos, we are able to search Plasma and use Future Fusion right away. And we decide to go into a Drill Warrior here because even though we don't really want to ditch 2 cards in our hand, this lets us kill Stratos, it lets us get Drill going, and if he is on Hero Beat, getting this kind of going is probably pretty good. So we ditch our Caius, we still have Dust Shoot also, so you know we can get rid of any card that's pesky for us. We Dust Shoot, we realize he is on Gladiator Beast. His hand's quite good. Prisma, Test Tiger, Laquari, real back row, Cold Wave. But we realize that Test Tiger is obviously the best card here. You know, it gets rid of the Prisma, Test Tiger, Jizzerus play. But he is still able to Laquari. Now, this was actually really smart of him. I have to give credit to this Gladiator Beast player. I thought he would bestiary the Future Fusion, but that would have actually been wrong because he has another turn before Future Fusion goes off. Hitting the Dandelion here makes my Quickdraw return, my Drill Warrior return really awkward, and it also makes my Debris Dragon in hand dead. So maybe that seems obvious, but I actually didn't think he would do that. You know, without him being able to see my hand, of course. But it made it really awkward. He's got Mirror Force, so we do bring back our Drill and Defense, and we realize, like, shit, you know, we don't really have a great choice here. Plasma's obviously not good. Quickdraw's not good without any, you know, with given our hand. Caius is okay, but we'd have to tribute off our Drill to make the Caius play. And we don't even know which back row is Mirror Force. So it's not really great. So we decided to bring Drill and Defense and get back Neos Alias. Summon Neos Alias and attack with Thierry. This kind of forces out his Mirror Force. We know he doesn't have Chariot at least, because we saw his hand, of course. So we kind of just have to take the gamble that he won't draw into Chariot. If he does, we lose. There's really nothing we can do about that. So we ditch off Drill. We ditch off the Debris because the Debris is dead right now. He draws MST, doesn't really help him. He decides to go into his Jizzerus now, pop our Future Fusion. We take 24. He goes into Retiari Darius, which I think is pretty good because he gets rid of Caius, which may have been, you know, the correct choice for us to bring back with Drill Warrior now that we can, you know, potentially sacrifice Drill Warrior to get off a good banish, right? So this lets him go into Jizzerus Darius with Trap Stun. He sets another back row. Now, I don't know if this is a real back row, if this is the Cold Wave. It doesn't matter. We are not in a position to play around any back row. When you are not in a position to play around any back row, don't play around the back row. Assume it doesn't help them. Assume it's fake, right? Because if they have a real back row, you lose. If you play around it, when you can't, you would lose anyway. So this is, you know, we get back to Debris Dragon because we know it's going to be live again for future turns now that we can use Tribute off Lone Fire. Again, we know he doesn't have Chariot at least, so we know, okay, at least that's not Chariot. He's already used Mirror Force. We don't have to play around Mirror Force. And Torrential would be not that good for him. I mean, it would blow out everything. So really the only back row, you know, Mirror is Bottomless or D-Prison. So we're going to go into Titanial. He does not Bottomless it, so we're like, cool. We'll swing over Jizzerus, and it goes through. So we're like, great. His back row is fake. Maybe it's Cold Wave. In this case, it was MST, but that's just as fake. He draws Book of Moon. We get Drill back. We know he doesn't have Mirror Force, but we don't know that he doesn't have Torrential. It's possible. I should have just summoned and went for a game, but you know, it's easy to say that seeing his cards now. But the way I figured it is if he did draw Torrential, or even if the previous back row was Torrential and he just didn't want to use it before, probably not, right? But if he did draw Torrential and I summon, I might be throwing the game. He was already used Mirror Force. I've got two really good cards here. I may as well just swing with both. He goes Book on Titanial. We let that go through because we figured even if he attacks Titanial and then tries to go into like Murmillo or something, Titanial can negate the Murmillo. 2600 defense. Yeah, we're not going to sacrifice it just to prevent it from being booked. We do decide to summon Neos Alias in main phase 2 just to make it more awkward for him now that we knew that his new back row wasn't Torrential. You know, so we can go for game next turn, whatever. We got rid of the Upstart Goblin in our hand, and he scooped. So that was game 1. Game 2. He's got a good hand again. You've got Laquari, you've got 3 real back row. He did Cite Ancient Forest. We actually sided in our Raikou, so that's awkward given the Ancient Forest. Our hand here is pretty awkward. We have Dandy in hand, and we have Foolish Burial. So we upstart, and we get Torrential. So we're like, all right, well, we'll just set... I would have just set Torrential, but I think that's too obvious. I think by setting Dandy, it baits him into not thinking this is Torrential. That was my plan. So it works, and we get both of his monsters. So it looks like we're in a good spot, but again, we're not drawing any monsters. We decided to hold our heavy here. He did draw a Gladiator Beast for turn. Sorry, on the phone. Let me call him back. Pause this for a second. Okay. So yeah, he keeps going into Gladiator Beast, and he attacks our Raikou. We decide to pop the Equest to prevent the follow-up attack. He does go into Retieri and hits our Dandelion, and we just can't draw any threats is our problem here. We're just not getting what we need. We have back row removal. We have more back row removal. We can throw Dandy in the grave, or, you know, if we need to, like, have debris or quick draw. We've got Brain Con if we get, you know, we just don't have a way to do anything right now. He attacks, tags into a quest. He's just getting his monsters back, which is smart. Maybe we should have end phase Dust, but we figured, you know what, let's just hold it until we need to actually do something, until we know we can do something. We draw Avarice, which is dead. We only have one Avarice in this build, and we do keep it in against Gladiator Beast because it's still usually not an issue, but obviously with this hand of just like no monsters whatsoever, drawing Avarice sucks. And then he Dust Shoots away as soon as we have a monster. So we're like, all right, game 2 is done. Now, game 3, we go first. We are lucky enough to open... We side back in the Dust Shoot going first against Gladiator Beast. We sided out going second, of course, but we sided in going first. Even though Glads are often setting a lot of their hand, I think the power of opening Dust Shoot is just too good. So, yeah. So we sided it back in, and luckily we opened it plus Titanial, which is excellent. And we Dust Shoot him, and he only has one monster. So we get rid of the monster, and his hand is just back row. Solemn, Road, Book, Chariot, Trapstun. If he had gone first with this hand, like a monster plus these 5 back row, good fucking luck, right? You've got Road for heavy, you've got Solemn for anything you want, Chariot for a monster effect, Book, Trapstun, and a monster. Like, you just lose. But luckily, we got to go first game 3 because we lost game 2. He decides to set it all. We draw heavy, which we know is dead. We figured it's not worth MSTing because even if we MST the Road, then it just gets Solemned. So we're going to try to Stratos first because if he Solemns the Stratos, then we'll put him down to 1200. He lets it go through. I don't know, maybe he should have Solemned it because it just gives me more threats. We know he can't actually do anything against attacks. He's got a Book of Moon, but you know, nothing, no hard removal, no monsters. So we're just going to swing. We set our MST. He draws D Prison, which he can't even set because his hand is full. So he decides to Book. And then set, we go for MST. He Solemns it. So we got rid of the Solemn. We figure just in case this is Torrential, let's just swing. We can just swing and force out, you know, anything that he has or win the game. He did get D Prison. We can negate just to put Titanium on the grave instead of banish. And then main phase 2. We flip our Stratos. We know all 3 of his back row. We're not afraid of anything. We set Dust. He set a new back row. We don't end phase Dust because we know he has Trap Stun. So if we end phase Dust, he just Trap Stuns it. But if we Dust on the beginning of our turn, he can't Trap Stun it because if he does, then the rest of his traps are negated all turn and we win. So he's got nothing and he loses. Trap Dust Shoot won that game. All right. Now, for our third game, against Blackwings. We are against David Belleri. I'm not sure that's how you say it. But if there's one thing I know for sure about Italian players on Dueling Book is they all play Blackwings. Yes, it is true. Is that racist? I don't know, but it's true. Here we go. We go first. And we have kind of an awesome hand. You know, no like big extenders, but we've got all our back row. We've got Trap Dust Shoot, we've got D Prison, we've got Call, we've got Solemn. We are able to get Future Fusion. Now, his hand is pretty solid, too. He's got Whirlwind, Double Bora, Gale, Blizzard. So, it's not like we can get rid of the Bora. He just gets another one. I got rid of Gale here because, you know, Bora Gale into Black Rose is a potential thing. And I mean, I can solemn it, but, you know, what I realized is the actual card to solemn here is probably the Black Whirlwind. This gets rid of a lot of his power. Bora by itself is no big deal. We have Deprison. We have Call. We can attack over it. He doesn't have Colute in hand. We figured the searches are actually the thing that could beat us, right? We don't have the ability to kill him very quickly right now. So we actually solemn the Whirlwind. And he goes Bora. He's very smart not to attack. If he attacks, he gets deprisoned. His Blizzard is dead. The game is over. He's got Icarus attack. He decides to just pass. We say, you know what? We need to pressure him, and we need to make sure this call works. So we end phase call our Stratos just to get more damage on the board and to get a search. This was probably a mistake. We probably should have just popped his back row, knowing it was Icarus attack. I'm not even going to say probably a mistake. This was definitely a mistake. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I'm just going to call this a misplay and let it be. It was a misplay. So, I mean, you know, popping his back row, attacking over. He does have Blizzard, but we still have Deprison. Popping the back row was definitely correct. So we go that. We go for this. Icaruses are face down and Future Fusion. We swing in for 37. We know he has Blizzard Bora in hand. So we decide to set our Dandy, tribute the 2 tokens and the Dandy for Plasma. Even though it's like a Plasma with no monster, it's only 1900, it negates the effects of his monsters. So it negates Blizzard at least. And you can't like Goyo and steal it because it can't be special summon like that. If he Bryonics and attacks over it, you know, he can only bounce one of these other cards. I figured I have a lot of good top decks still. The only problem with this is if he draws Sirocco, which of course he drew Sirocco. So he draws Sirocco, and he's able to go Sirocco, special Bora. He can't pump because, again, Plasma would negate it, so that would be a waste. But he can attack over Plasma, and he can do 1700. So not great for us. That misplay cost us. We draw Mirror Force, which is a good draw, but it's not like the greatest draw. I mean, it's a very good draw. There's plenty of worse draws, but I don't want, you know, he was very salty about this Mirror Force, but the reality is Caius is just lethal, right? Caius is lethal. Debris Dragon is, what is that lethal? Let's see, 1,000, 200. No, it wouldn't be lethal with Debris Dragon, but that would be, you know, we could make Red Dragon Arcfiend, we could kill both his monsters, we can hit direct, and there's no, you know, grayed out. So Mirror Force is a good draw, but it's not the end-all be-all. We kill. He decides to, now he got really greedy here, I think. He goes Bryonic. So his mind, assuming, like, it makes sense that he's going to want to bounce our Mirror Force here. I tell him the summon is okay. I ask if he has priority. He says, no prio. Now, of course, I don't have any way to respond to priority or not, but you still want to ask to get them. You put your opponent in their head about it, right? But, of course, I passed back, so he knows it's not bottomless. He got greedy. He wanted to go for game this turn. But I think bouncing our back row here and just killing both monsters is plenty good. It's plenty good. So he got greedy, gets blown out by the mirror. He says, wow, but, you know, that's kind of on him. We draw a dead card. We swing with both. We decide to set it just to play around some back row. He goes Allure. We hit the Deprison. But even if it didn't really matter what we hit, we had 2 monsters. We were going to kill him either way. Game 2. Game 2 is interesting. Game 2 is interesting. He sets 1 back row and passes. We set our Scapegoat and pass. Scapegoat and MST. He sets another back row. We draw Heavy. So it's like, okay, well, we can't really Heavy right now. So we'll wait. He decides to summon. He's got 2 Sidra and Sirocco. That's interesting. He decides to summon Blizzard. I decide to Scapegoat because I just want to, like, relieve pressure. And I figure I can set Mirror Force next turn. And if he plays more monsters, I can kill more monsters. So we decide to set a Dandy, because again, why not? We decide to summon Debris Dragon to go for a Stardust play. He goes Icarus on the Debris and our MST. We chain the MST on his bottomless. And we set our Mirror Force. He goes Sidra and attacks Dandy. We decide to let that go through because Sidra's not that big of a threat to us by itself. He sets a back row. We get our tokens off of Dandy. We wait. So our thought process here is like when we passed turn, he just drew heavy. But when we passed turn, it was we have Mirror Force set and we have heavy. And we have 4 blockers. So all we need to do is wait until he summons another monster. We'll Mirror Force to kill both to get some value. We'll Heavy Storm whatever he sets. And then we can make a good play with debris or whatever. And, you know, maybe set back row if we have some by the time. We don't set the Starlight Road here. Again, because of what I just explained, right? I wanted to mirror his monsters, and then heavy, and then I would set. But he decides to heavy his own back row away, including our mirror. He goes -1 on the heavy because he's got Whirlwind into Kalute, to Search Gale, to Special Gale, to then Synchro for Armed Wing, to then drop Dad. Dad lets him pop 2 of the tokens. It lets Armed Wing pierce 2800 over the 3rd token, and then the other 2 monsters to attack direct for game. So that game just suddenly got stolen away from us. I felt like we were in control. We had, you know, 3 blockers or whatever it was. We had back row. We had a lot of life. But, you know, Blackwing can do that. Dark Arm, really more specifically, Dark Arm Dragon can cheat out a lot of plays. Heavy into Dark Armed, I mean, what do you do, right? Set the road, I guess. But yeah, I got punished there. Game 3, we open Lone Fire and a lot of back row. We've got Gores, we've got Smashing. We decide to set our MST. Titanial is not the end-all be-all against Blackwings. They can beat it with Kalute. You know, Shura plus Kalute is your worst-case scenario. Sirocco Pump doesn't actually quite do it. Like, if they Sirocco Bora, for example, and then Pump, you can negate the Sirocco effect, which, you know, Titania will die, but that way you're trading at least. And that's okay. But we set our MST. He decides to Brain Con. You know, we don't know if he has a way to tribute it off or not, but you can't take that risk when they have a full hand. You can assume they probably do. And he did. So we negate. He just sets, doesn't decide to summon Bora. We decide not to MST in the end phase. You know, we'd rather hold it for Oppression or something, which he has. We set our D-Prison. We hold Mirror. He swings with Bora. This is a good D-Prison. If he chains Icarus, we can chain MST, right? He doesn't. We pass. We decide to hold our other back row so that we can go MST into Gores. We do hit the wrong back row in this situation. Obviously, Royal Oppression's dead against our hand. We would have liked to have hit Torrential. But he has Torrential Mirror. Luckily, though, we play around it correctly. We decide to go like this. This is a really good way to play against Shura, if you guys don't already know, because if they have Kalute in hand, they don't get the search off Shura, because it doesn't go to the graveyard, it's a token. So if they don't have Kalute, it crashes. If they do have Kalute, they might not even want to use it, or if they do use it, they don't get the search. And it plays around Mirror Force, of course. Mirror Force, of course. Token goes to grave. We decide to switch Gores to attack and set our Bottomless. We're just still holding Mirror Force for the right moment. He just passes, we swing. He Mirror Forces. Maybe we should have set Trap Stun there and waited a turn, but we figured, you know, he didn't have anything last turn. Let's just go for it. We keep our back Bottomless there. He's got Sirocco Sidra again. We were just passing. We don't want to get heavied. He sets another Royal. We figure since he's setting, we can set. He plays Whirlwind into Blizzard. I can't Bottomless the Shura because of how he ordered it so that Whirlwind would be Chainlink 1 and Blizzard's Chainlink 2. So because of that, Blizzard resolves and then Whirlwind resolves. So we lose the opportunity to Bottomless Shura. Not that Bottomlessing Shura is amazing there anyway, but we don't have the option. We do have our Trap Stun set now, so we can you know go into a Sirocco play here. He doesn't want a Torrential, which makes sense. That would be like kind of a neg for him, Torrential-wise. Repression doesn't help. We can swing for 3,800 because we are pumping up Sirocco very high. So that's you know nice. We've got a lot of back row. We decide to set all of it at this point. He's got 3 set. If he heavies, so be it. He tributes off Shura for Sirocco. We look at his grave and we realize there's 2 darks. So and we also don't want him to get the search. We could Dust Tornado the Whirlwind, but then Sirocco can still pump over it. We figured, you know, let's just Bottomless and deny him the search. We can hold our Dust Tornado. And yeah, he sets and thing. We Dust Tornado. We do have Trap Stun, so we figure it's probably safe to go for game here. We go Trooper, use effect. He Torrentials, we still get the cost, and then we chain Trap Stun, and then he loses. And that's the game that puts us above 1,400 into rank 1, baby. All right, so those are the games. Let's just quickly go over some side patterns, and then, yeah, we'll call it. But versus the 6 Samurai deck. Why not, right? In case you want to know. I sided in against the 6 Samurai deck. I think I sided in the Cyber Dragon. I was going second, so you want to kind of play around a lot of back row. I sided in the Cyber Dragon. I sided in one of the Smashing Grounds. I wasn't sure, like, it's not great against Grandmaster, but Grandmaster's defense is lower than the other Samurai, so it could be okay. Maybe I should have sided both. I don't know. I sided in my body. I sided in both Dust Tornadoes, and I sided in one of the Trap Stuns. Against, what did I side out? I think I sided out one of the D Prisons. I sided out one of the Cyber Valleys. I usually side out one of the Cyber Valleys going second against any deck. I sided out one of the Caiuses because I was going second. I sided out, I think I sided out Upstarts. Upstarts are usually safe to side out when you need room and you don't necessarily want to side out other things. I think I sided out Trap Dust Shoot going second against Samurai. Any deck that sets, obviously, a lot. You don't want to keep that in. Maybe Plasma. Against Gladiator Beasts, I sided out both Caius. There's an argument to keep one in, but going second, I sided out both Caius. I sided out a Cyber Valley. I sided out Plasma. It's one of the decks that I think, obviously it's not good enough against. I sided out Level Leader because it just gets Retieried. I actually keep in my Dandies, my Quickdraws, my Debris. I actually think you need those against Gladiator Beasts, even though it feels like, oh, but they died a Chariot. You need to, force Chariot out and then get off a Debris. Or you need to, Quickdraw into Turbo Warrior, which they can't Chariot, and it gets past Murmillo and Jazeris and attacks over everything. You kind of just need to keep them in. I side out the Gores going second. Sometimes I'll keep it in against Glads going first. Sometimes not. Sangan I sided out. And I sided out, I think, the Trap Dust Shoot going second. And I sided out the Upstarts going. Yeah, I sided out the Upstarts. I bring in against Glads. I bring in the Raikou, actually. I bring in Sirocco only if I'm going... Motherfuck. Sorry. As I was saying, I bring in the Sirocco only if I'm going second, not going first. I bring in the Cyber Dragon. I bring in both Smashing Grounds. These are one of the... Gladiator Beast is one of the primary reasons that I even have these. Blackwings is another, but they're excellent against Gladiator Beast because they get past Wabaku, they get past Trap Stun, they get past... they let you get monster effects through Chariot, right, by killing the monster. Smashing is just great against Gladiator Beast. They have low monsters and lots of back row to protect that monster, but Smashing... Usually the only thing they can potentially do against Smashing is Book of Moon, and that still turns off Chariot, so it might still be enough. Or they just don't have it, because it's just Book of Moon. I side in my body. It works against Murmillo. It works against a lot of their traps. It works against Gladiator Beast, Jazeris. I don't side in Road because I just find that it's often dead. Either they trap stun it, they pop it with Bestiary before they go into Jazeris. I don't know. It's not as successful for me. And I side in both Dust Tornadoes. I don't side in trap stuns, especially going second. You could potentially side one in going first. But I find they just die to Bestiary before I can get value from them, whereas Dust Tornadoes, you can always set them if they have back row and chain them. So they're better. And then against Blackwing. Blackwing, if I'm going second, I side out one of the Caiuses. I side it back in if I'm going first. I side out one of the Cyber Valleys. I side out the Level Leader. I side out two of the Quick Draws. I keep one in. I side out Gores when I'm going first against Blackwings, but I bring it back in going second. I side out Dust Shoot going second. I keep all these traps. I sometimes will side out Call going second, and sometimes I'll side out Sangan. But going first, I'll keep the Call the Haunted at least, and sometimes Sangan. I will bring in Raikou, Sirocco, both Smashing Grounds if I'm going second, one of them if I'm going first. My body, both Dust Tornadoes, Starlight Road, both Trap Stuns against Blackwings. So we're not really a big quick draw deck at that point. We're more of a, I don't know what you want to call it, a debris control deck. So we still have one. We still have the option for quick draw, but we don't want to get blown out as hard by Royal Oppression and deck dev. And as you can see, game 3 against the Blackwing player, he had multiple Royal Oppressions. He had one, he had another, and it didn't do anything against our hand. We had Gores, we had Caius, we had, Card Trooper, we had Trap Stun. Even if he had Royal Oppression our play, we would have Trap Stunned it or something. So we were ready to go. So those are the games. We are rank 1. It can be done. And that's cool. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.